Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday night. Time for another Facebook Live. Trying to adjust this. I always seem to have a shadow down here. And I have a light. There's no shadow on my work surface, so somehow it shows up there. Anyway, I am going to share this with my group. So give you guys a minute to find me. While you're finding me, I'll get this shared. Hopefully my laptop will cooperate tonight. There it is. Hey, Susie. I'm just getting it shared to my group, and then we will get started. There we go. Now we're shared. Hey, Betty. All right, so tonight I'm actually going to make two cards because I felt like this one would not take very long, and I wanted to show you both of these. What I'm using tonight, I tried to resist purchasing because, you know, I can't have everything in the catalog. So this is the Beauty of Tomorrow. This is the stamp set. And then the dies are so pretty. It's 2 sheets of them. This is the big die I used in the second card. And then there are also some that cut out your stamped images, and then you can make all these little leaves. And I'll show you a card that I made in the class I took from Kay that uses some of those little leaf cutouts. So I am in a technique club with Kay, my upline, and she used this bundle in that class, and after I used it, then I had to have it. So I've been playing with it. I got to play with it some last weekend at the retreat, and then that's where I made the second card, and then the first card is one from Kay's class. So let's get started. Oh, let me show you the paper. I almost hate to do this because it's on back order still, and it won't be available until the first week of November, but it is definitely worth the wait. It is gorgeous. It's got leafing on one side. I think they all have leafing on one side. Let's see, maybe not. Yeah, they do. Isn't that gorgeous? I mean, you hate to cut into any of it. So one side has the metallic and the other side doesn't. But it's just beautiful paper. This just has a little bit of gold leafing on these. Really, really pretty. Very fall colors to me. I think this is, well, that was the first one. I think that's my favorite one. I showed you that, yeah. An owl. And then just some nice geometric. And this one has a lot of gold on it. And this is what the full one is. I've already cut that down for my second card. But this one, you can, you know, cut just card fronts out of this, and you don't have to add much else. And I'll show you a card that we did in the technique class that's like that. All right, let's move that out of the way. Try not to spill it everywhere. And let's get started stamping. We're going to start with this card. So my friend Kay designed this. Hey, Allison. And it takes 2 pieces of cardstock. That's it. As always, after the video, I'll post on my blog the dimensions for the card, so you don't have to write down anything or try and figure anything out. It'll all be on my blog. And I will also upload this to YouTube afterwards too. And then everyone that comments on this is in the drawing to get these cards next week. So last week we played with the Festive and Bright, and this is the card we made last week. So at the end of the video, I'll tell you who won that card. All right, so we're going to do a little something, and I had done this before, but I hadn't done it for a while, called Rock and Roll. So I'm going to use, one of my inks is being used in both. So I've got Cinnamon Cider, Early Espresso, and Blackberry Bliss. So those are the colors in this card. So let me open my Cinnamon Cider and Early Espresso. And so what I'm going to do, this is my sentiment. It says, the changing of leaves reminds us that new wonders are just around the corner. And so my friend Kay said, since it talked about the changing of leaves, she thought it ought to be multicolored. So I'm going to ink it up in the cinnamon cider. It's the lighter color. Then I'm going to take it to the early espresso, and I'm just going to roll it around like that. So that's why they call rock and roll. And then we're going to just stamp this right in the center. And then you can see how it's got different, it's got the dark brown on the outside and the cinnamon cider on the inside. All right, we are done with the early espresso. So now we're going to take this big, I don't know, leaf, I don't know, some type of foliage. And we're just going to stamp it in, kind of in the corners. So you just kind of stamp it, whoops, I about dropped it, all the way around like this. And this is cinnamon cider again. All right, so that's all of the cinnamon cider. I'll have to be sure I clean that later. We're going to use that on our next one too. And then I have this stamp. I don't know what these are. Some kind of foliage or little berries on the end. And this is where we're going to use our Blackberry Bliss. I know, Alison, it's fun, isn't it? You just want to be sure that you ink up with the lighter color first. I'm going to make this go because I left a little bit more space there than I did on the first one. So you're just kind of filling in the space in between your cinnamon cider leaves. And that's all the stamping. Like I said, this is a really quick and easy, but it has a fun technique to it. And then I just used, she just did this flat. So you just adhere it to your card base. And this is thick Whisper White I'm using for the card base. Make sure I have it going the right way. So it's a simple card, but so pretty. And then just to add a little bit of bling, she used the champagne rhinestones. Get them out of their package. They don't want to come out. There we go. I'm going to take your pick tool and we'll just add just 3 of them kind of around the sentiment like that. And there you go. That's it. Isn't that easy? All right, so that's card number 1. Set that over there to make sure I keep it so somebody can have it when I do the giveaway next week. Card number 2. And grab its pieces. It's a little messier. So we're going to use Sahara Sand. That's what this background is. Rich Razzleberry. And we're bringing back in the Blackberry Bliss. Trying to get all my pieces from over here on the table. There we go. So this is the die, that big die cut. And then Sahara Sand card base. Get some of this out of the way so I have some place to work. And this is the Designer Series paper I use. So it's kind of, I think it's kind of a blend of both the Rich Razzleberry and the Blackberry Bliss. But before, let me clean my stamp. So we're going to use this same big foliage stamp. So let me just get my chamois and clean it off a little bit. Because we're going to use Sahara Sand. And so I've just kind of laid my Designer Series paper on there. And I just wanted to add a little bit of depth to the card. So once I kind of figure out where that's going to be, I'm just going to, it looks like I need to re-ink this, doesn't it? Let me get on the outside a little bit. Another one down that way. So it just adds a little bit of foliage behind our focal image. Okay. We can go ahead and put this down so we don't lose it. I hate putting adhesive on that side, but you know, you have to use one side or the other. And they're all pretty. All right, so this is going to go right here, not quite all the way to the edge. Leave a little gap. Set that aside. And then we'll go ahead before we do, actually no, we'll do our inking first to give it a chance to set a little bit before we put it together. So I have my blending brush. I'm gonna have to get a new sheet after this week, I think. This one's gotten pretty messy. And I started with the lighter color, Rich Razzleberry. How did I get ink all over? That's from the early espresso. And then this is the lighter color, so I'm just kind of going, I don't want to rub too hard because this has some kind of delicate areas. So I'm just kind of pouncing on it. And it's actually, I think it's prettier if it's not all uniform. So there's just with the Rich Razzleberry. So then I took the Blackberry Bliss, and I might get a little bit of that out, but it's a darker color, so it will be fine. And these you can wash. You can just run them under water, and they will come almost completely clean. I've gotten to where I'll keep some, like one for reds, one for greens, one's for blues. And again, I'm just gonna kind of go over. And this is a little bit different color. Oh, that got really dark there, didn't it? So it just gives it some variety. And it's fun to do. So that's all I did. I just kind of did both colors, different amounts of ink. So it, I don't know. I liked the way it ended up. All right, now we'll let that sit for a minute and let's do our tag. And I think this will be, oh, I forgot to get this sentiment out. So this one says, I know this is a difficult day. So this could be anybody that's going through a rough time. And I'm going to use the Blackberry Bliss. That's the darker of the two colors, so I know it will show up well. Thanks, Susie. I'm glad you like that look. Thank you, Allison. I have not been watching comments, so if somebody commented before that, I'm sorry. I missed it. All right, we'll see if this piece is big enough. If not, I'll get another one. I was just trying to use up a scrap I had. And then the punch I used is called the Essential Tag Punch. So that's what it looks like. It's in the annual catalog. And so we are just going to punch this in the center. Now we're ready to assemble everything. So I just took some liquid glue and just put it, there's plenty of leaves that you can put some adhesive on. And I don't think I did all of them because I kind of liked it not being just completely stuck down. Some of the leaves were kind of floating. And it will go at an angle. And if it goes over a little, you can always trim it if you need to, because it just barely fits. Hold that down for a minute so that the glue that's there can adhere. There we go. And then carefully, so we have this Baker's Twine Essential Pack, and one of the colors in that is Sahara Sand, which is what this is. Now you could use linen thread if you don't have the Sahara Sand. Or this might be gray granite. I don't know if it tells me. I liked it though. I thought it looked good on this card. So what I'm going to do is carefully try and put some adhesive down here. Now you have to be careful because you don't want to mess up those leaves. Although I guess if they're under the tag, it doesn't matter. Let me grab my scissors. All right, so then you're just going to take this and wrap it around your fingers. Ah, there. I could not find the end of this, so I finally just had to cut it. So we'll use this amount. I'll be just fine. And then you're going to just stick it in that adhesive. Try and get the ends to stick over there. It's just kind of a messy little thing. And then put some dimensionals. On your tag. I'm going to put them on the sides so that hopefully they will straddle that. Let me get that over a little bit because I want it just to kind of poke out the side like that. All right, so you've just got a little bit of that trim out there. And then the final touch is some of these elegant faceted gems. I used just the clear ones. I didn't think those brown ones, they might have been okay, but I wasn't sure about them. So I just used some of these clear ones. There's my Take Your Pick tool. And so I put one down here. And what I like about these is they just kind of take on whatever color you put them on. And one over here. Whoops. And one more up here somewhere. There. And that's it. Get this out of the way. Get everything out of the way over in my messy table now. So that's our second card. So these are the two cards that we made. I just love this set. I'm going to have to play with it some more. I haven't figured out if I could use it. The paper doesn't really lend itself to Christmas, but I haven't figured out if I could somehow make, you know, Christmas wreaths or something out of it. I'll have to play. All right. So don't forget, everybody that comments on the video will be on the drawing for those two cards, and I'll draw next week. Last week we made this card. Thank you, buddy. I'm glad you liked both of them. Last week we made this card, and so the winner of this card is Betty. So I will get this to her. All right, I think that is it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed these, and I should be able to see you next week. No, I may not be here next week. My daughter-in-law is having some tests done, and she has to stay away from my grandson for a couple of days, and I think I'm spending the night, both nights, at their house. So we may have to move next week's to a different night or something. I will let you know. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you next time, whenever that is. Good night.